So the first video that I put up on Beyond the Subtle Fears, there's a bit of conversation unfolded below in the comments section. One of the things that came up there is something which has come up many times in the past. When I coach people in transcending attachments, this is something that often comes up for people early on because people are resistant to transcending their attachments. They don't just go, oh yeah, I want to transcend those. They're resistant to transcending their attachments because those attachments create trances that when they're inside of them seem utterly valid. They seem totally real. The reality tunnel that's created looks like reality as it is, and it looks like to ignore it would be insanity, would be some kind of social suicide or existential suicide or something like this. This is why transcending attachments can be a challenging thing. Not because it's technically difficult to do, but because when you're inside of the attachments, it doesn't look like a good idea to transcend them. You know, you need to be at a place where you're stepped outside of them and you can evaluate whether they're really serving you in your life before you can make that commitment to transcend them. So one of the objections that comes up a lot is, but if I transcended my attachment on that, I wouldn't care anymore. And you know, that would be a bad thing. I would be a person who didn't care. I don't want to not care. Now, in responding to that, the question is, what does care mean? What does it mean to care? A lot of the time, people use care and worry as a synonym. And they actually think that worrying is caring. So the idea is, if I stop worrying, I will stop caring, like they're the same thing. Now, I'm going to suggest right now that if all you've ever done is worry, and if you think that that is what care is, then you probably, you know, it's going to seem legitimate to have that fear. I won't care anymore. But I'm going to suggest that caring and worrying are not the same thing. They're not the same thing. Worrying is being in a fearful, reactive place to something. Caring about something, in order to really care about something, you need to be connected to your power to make a difference for that thing. You know, you need to be connected to your power to make a difference for that thing. You need a certain amount of groundedness. We talked about groundedness in other places. You need a certain amount of groundedness to actually be able to show up and care. Because caring is a verb, it is an action, it is a doing. It's not a particular feeling that you become a victim of that happens to be an almost identical feeling or an identical feeling to worry. They're not the same thing. If you really want to care about something, what is required to care is for you to be in your power to consider what needs to happen there and what is for the good, what seems to be for the good for you, to you, and the ability to show up and engage in making that happen. That's real caring. And it doesn't come from a place of insecurity, neediness, a disconnection from personal power, what's sometimes called a victim position, an organization of reality where all the power's out there and you're just a victim to it and absolutely things mustn't be a certain way. It's a very different experience, and I understand that somebody who has never had the experience of really being in their power and grounding might think that it's somehow, I don't know, a not caring position. It isn't. It's a not worrying position. It's a not fearing position. It's a not insecuring position. And I'm deliberately saying that as a verb, the verb to insecure, because people insecure themselves. So that's the thing. It's just not, you know, it's not an issue. The other thing to say is some of those things that, if worrying was caring, let's just say that they are. Let's accept them as synonyms and imagine they are. So to say, well, then I wouldn't care anymore. It's a bit like saying, well, if I wouldn't worry anymore. And if I became unattached to that, I wouldn't worry anymore. That's right. Why do you want to worry? Why would you want to worry? Well, the only reason you'd want to worry is if you think that worrying is serving you. And the only reason you would want to continue to worry if you think worrying is serving you is because you're buying in to the very structure of the trance in the first place. You're buying in to the illusory narrative in the first place. And it is an illusory narrative because the map is not the territory. The story is not the sequence of events that it depicts. The words about the world are not the world. The ideas about the world are not the world. Your trance is the way things are occurring to you, not the way things are. But by the logic of how they're occurring to you, worrying will seem valid. The trances are self-validating. So the trance says, I won't worry anymore, and that would be a bad thing because worrying is a good thing. If you're buying into worrying being a good thing, then not worrying will seem like a bad thing. And because people don't like to say, well, I wouldn't worry anymore, they switch it out for care. I wouldn't care anymore. Worrying and caring are not the same thing. You wouldn't worry anymore. You would be free to go beyond worry and to connect at a deeper level from worry. You would be free to be everything that you are beyond worry, to be present with it in a truly meaningful way rather than a reactive, fearful way. So this is the thing. When you go beyond attachments and let go of attachments, it can be difficult to see what life will be like if all you've ever been is caught up in the attachments. And of course, there's no rule in the universe that says you must go beyond those attachments. If you think they're serving you, why would you? If you really believe they're serving you, why would you? So the first place to go when you're looking at any insecure trance, any fear trance, any worry trance, any reactive trance, whether it be overt or whether it be subtle, the first place to go is outside of it. To see it for what it is, a trance, and to be able to be in that place that is beyond the trance and ask yourself the question, is this serving me? Is this way of being, is this way of engaging really serving me in getting the kind of results that I would love to have? Not the kind of results I need from, the kind of results I would love to have. If I can go beyond fear and go to a place of true inspiration and a desire at the wow level. Is it serving you in getting that? That's what I'm really curious about. If you can get out and you can get beyond that place and you can say, yep, it is serving me, there's nothing that needs to be done. There's no rule in the universe that says you have to change anything. But if when you get outside of those reaction patterns, outside of those trances, outside of those attachments, outside of that neediness, outside of that insecurity, outside of whatever you will call it, when you get outside of that and you look at it and you ask, is this really serving me? If the answer is no, then know that you can transform that, but also know when you get ducked back into the trance, it's all going to seem real and valid again. From the position inside, it's going to be self-validating. So you need to be able to step outside to assess it, outside of the self-validation to assess it from a broader context, the broader context of your life.